I guess we'll call this a reaction video. One to the amazing atheist, or about him. I wasn't going to bother with this. Didn't even intend to watch his Sunday morning video. I've done pretty good not watching his videos. But, you know, you really kind of have to. Somebody has to. I mean, he gets the views, you know, he has the numbers. So you got to pay attention to what the person who has the platform is saying. I mean, it doesn't make much sense to not pay attention to what is being heard. I mean, you know, dealing with that reality. So I ended up watching it because Kobe, you know, Saturday Night Films, did a blog TV thing, and so yeah, I popped in there for a while. Really, I was there for, I don't know, an hour or more, 2 hours maybe. You know, it was okay. You know, it's a lot of the juvenile sex questions, you know, all these different ways to do something sexually that I don't understand. But whatever. You know, he even had me docked up for a while, so we had a little bit of a conversation. And it was a little bit about the TJ thing. Well, anyway, somewhere in the course of that blog TV thing, he mentioned TJ's video and said how great it was, and so there was this impression that it was some kind of new, innovative, brilliant video. But anyway, I ended up watching it then. Okay. And, no, it was just the same crap. You know, so now he's going to do this once a week. Great. Okay, he's going to do a nice, boring video once a week. And just spout his crap on every subject. And a lot of it is just crap. I mean, out of the hour and a half, whatever the hell it was, the only thing I would agree on him was maybe the movie The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. And it was Liberty Valance, you know. And it was Jimmy Stewart, and it's John Wayne movie, you know. You can't really forget John Wayne in that movie. And, you know, the other guy, no, I'm going to remember his name, Lee Marvin. You know, Lee Marvin was brilliant in that movie. Lee Marvin was brilliant, period. Great actor. So anyway, real man's man kind of man. So getting to the more pertinent subject of the video, the thing he, you know, like the big white-only bomb that he has to throw. I mean, this is what's so irritating, is he has the ears, and what's he putting into the ears? These issues that have nothing to do with reality. I mean, nothing to do with any course that anybody can go on, any course any boat could sail. I mean, it's just crap. It has nothing to do with the real world we exist in, and what you could encourage or motivate people to consolidate or coalesce around some sort of strategy, some sort of to do something with the numbers that you have. Instead, you just throw it away on these crap issues. And so pedophilia was the subject, and molestation. I'll put some vague imagery in the background, just to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, there's, you know, young people can be attractive, youth can be attractive. You know, especially, and men are just, you know, we are built that way. There's parts, even parts of people that we will find attractive. You know, just a glimmer of something, a spark, just a nuance, you know, and a male can become interested. I mean, that's just a fact. You can go to a farm and you can see it happen. I mean, friggin', you know, they have a hormone in a syringe, and they can shoot it into the ground, and the fucking animal will screw the ground. I mean, it's just, you know, we're pitiful animals. And so, yeah, we have the pretense of sophistication and culture, but underneath that there is some crude biology. But that's really no excuse to give an inch on the subject. It's no excuse to give even an inch on the subject. And yes, maybe it is silly to, you know, let a murderer out after 10 years and prosecute a child molester for 30 or something, but that really doesn't happen in the real world. You know, in a lot of cases, child molesters don't get what they're due, especially if they're priests or something. They might not even serve any meaningful time whatsoever, a year or two, and they might have destroyed people's lives. I mean, I know of people who've jumped in front of trains, and yeah, maybe they would have jumped in front of a train anyway, but the likelihood is that the bad course their life took because of somebody else's influence on their life is probably the reason why some people are dead. All right, and probably the reason why some people are miserable. It's because they got fucked up by the experience of getting fucked up, and the wrong way. These are, sex is a very subtle and powerful part of our psychology. And it's not something to be messed with people who just wish to satisfy their own selfish desires. Kids need to be maturated. They need to be nurtured. They don't need to be thieved from. They don't need to have their pockets picked, so to speak. And that's what all this bullshit is. And to sit there and minimize it and compare it to something like religious propaganda or something, which in 99% of cases is not going to have a meaningful impact. I mean, you'll get to be 9 or 10 years old, you realize your parents are assholes, and you'll move on. Certainly there are cases where kids are isolated from the world and the dogma is drilled into their brain, and yeah, I agree, that's child abuse. But I would still almost argue that's something more recoverable than having your whole sexual psychology perverted. And it does pervert psychology. There's just no way of getting around that. You can make somebody into something. Those kind of experiences can turn people into things. They can end up with desires and preferences that'll end up being likewise as perverse as the person who impose them on the person. And it's there's just nothing to justify, and how he gets away with doing it is just idiotic. I mean, he talks like everybody's straw manning him. Well, it's not a straw man when you're pleading the poor horror of persecution for the poor pedophile. No one's, like I said, the argument isn't even about being a pedophile. The argument is about being a child molester. The argument's about acting on your impulses, all right? And just as you can't defend rape or any of this other crap, which you kind of do sometimes, and no one's strawmanning you by pointing that out, you minimize the damage. You minimize the fact that some people cherish their sexuality. It means a lot to them. It's a big part of their life, and it can be destroyed by somebody doing something, imposing something on them. It can take away from them their capacity to enjoy it, to experience it the way they want to experience it. And so it's just bullshit to minimize that damage and to talk about like it's trivial. Maybe it's trivial for somebody like you who's acquired a lot of disposition, proclivities, okay, that might be a little more aggressive, and you might be into all that kind of stuff, that whole sexual psychology crap. But to people who don't have that, okay, sex is a delicate and important part of their expression, and it doesn't have it's not synonymous with your sledgehammer perception of it. Okay, it's not compatible. And you should respect that incompatibility and not have this presumption that for everybody it's just something, shit on my face one day, so what? Doesn't mean anything. Well, to some people, having somebody shit in their face does mean something, and they have a right to have it mean something to them psychologically. And, to have you trivialize it like it doesn't mean anything, it's just bullshit. Fuck that crap. So anyway, the bottom line is like I said, anybody's entitled to jerk off to anything they want to. What they're not entitled to do is impose themselves on other fucking people, especially people incapable of sometimes even recognizing the imposition. It's not appropriate, it's not acceptable, and it's right that it's not acceptable, and it's got to stay goddamn unacceptable to act on that shit. And you sitting there sympathizing, it just doesn't serve any useful fucking purpose. All right, anybody who's got dangerous feelings has to know they're goddamn dangerous, and has to know there's a goddamn hard line they can't fucking cross. So they don't need your empathy, they need your guidance, and they need to be told quite explicitly that they don't have a right to cross that fucking line. And anybody who's going to sit there and say that, well, you're not doing too much harm, that's just bullshit. You're doing way too much fucking harm. You're taking way too big a risk with somebody else's welfare. Fuck you. Don't do it. That's what you got to be saying. So anyway, enough said. Hey, I still got 45 seconds left. That's pretty amazing. I'm talking shorter. I don't know what that means. So is there anything else that he talked about? Well, yeah, it's just this whole thing. I mean, it was kind of hypocritical of him to talk about the straw man thing when he straw manned me to pieces. I mean, I simply point out that there's an incompatibility between our violent tendencies and technology, and he called me some sort of anti-freedom, goddamn draconian force that wants to, beat up on the soul of man. Bullshit. I'm just recognizing a fact that we have to do something fucking about, or it's going to be our fucking doom. So whatever. Enough said. Till next time.